Hello viewers, Marianne from Revealing Light Tarot, and of course I have a smile on my face given Sondland's testimony in Congress yesterday. If you recall from the last reading when we looked at Sondland, it's Sondland, not Sonderland, our Knight of Coins actually fell out upside down, and at the time I said I think he's going to tell everything. I think he's just going to flip on Trump. Well, if you shake this Knight of Coins, everything drops out of the Knight of Coins pocket. This is the mercenary, the hired gun, if you like. And Sondland just flipped. He flipped on Trump big time, as we know, and it is cause to smile because it's pretty telling. It also implicates your Secretary of State, Mike Pompeo. Now, he is looking at an exit strategy, and we'll look at if he will stand down. But we're getting closer and closer, I think, to an impeachment of this president at the very least in the House. And it would make the Senate very difficult, Republicans in the Senate very difficult not to convict. So, well, when I say convict, whatever they do in the Senate when they vote to uphold or the impeachment. All right, so let's go to how Ambassador Sondland's testimony affected Trump. Now, he was on the White House lawns with that very childish piece of paper, I do not want anything, I do not want anything, do the right thing, Zelensky, no quid pro quo, this is the final word from the President of the US. It's pretty childish. Let's have a look at how this testimony what's the fallout from Sondland's testimony? What is the fallout from Ambassador to the EU, a hotel magnate, big donor to Trump's campaign or inauguration, Sondland? What's the fallout? What's the fallout from his testimony? What is the fallout? It's just proving the bribery. So now this is the Lover's card. And I often say, okay, this is my card for Trump because the Lover's card is Gemini. But I'm not going to say that anymore because Gemini people are wonderful people. And it just so happens that Trump is a Gemini. He's probably got every other sign in his astrological chart as well. So don't feel bad about that. We're nothing like him, regardless of our star sign. But this is the Lover's card, perhaps signifying the whatever love affair, if you like, that Trump had with the electorate, and it certainly wasn't a great one. There is a parting of ways. There are voters that perhaps would have voted for Trump, and some of them who are now no longer going to do that. So the love is actually turned bad, if you like. That's the signifier card. Why has it done that? Because it's challenged by the past. This is the Six of Cups. So what Trump has done in the past if this had been at the beginning of his presidency when they held both houses, it would have been harder. But there is a cumulative effect of what he's done in the past now, and the love is dying. The love is, well, I don't know about dead with his base, but it certainly is waxing and waning. 70% think that what he did was wrong. So that's the signifier card. By the way, I'm using a new tarot deck. People say, why do you need so many tarot decks? Well, it's because it's like a library. If you love to read books, then you will collect books. And if you love the tarot, then you will collect tarot decks. So these are not just for me, though. I try and get ones with really beautiful pictures so that they come up well in my readings. The latest deck is the Tarot Grand Deluxe by Cairo Marchetti. And I also got the Rider-Waite Centennial deck as well, which I've got a couple of Rider-Waite decks, but this is their Centennial deck, so it's quite nice to have. Back to the reading. The Lover's card, challenged by what he's done in the past. Interestingly, these are both sixes. I didn't realise that. So from the standpoint of numerology, the six is a healing, the healing number, particularly around relationships as well. So something almost had to, and the tower keeps coming up, and we know that the tower can mean chaos, can mean a turn of, I guess, I won't call it bad luck, but a crisis of some sort. And we always look at the tower as being but in some ways it brings on the healing that we need to experience. And this is what I think has happened for the collective. This has been a tower moment. Sondland's testimony was a tower moment in this whole impeachment inquiry. But I'll bring the laptop down so you can see these beautiful cards, and we'll keep going. Okay, so Sondland's testimony, what does it mean for Trump? We've got the 10 of Swords. And, when I look at this card, yes, it is downfall. Yes, it is Trump's lowest point. Yes, it does mean a completion and an ending. But I'm also drawn to these swords that are coming down into Trump's back. If you looked at my 11:11 gateway reading, you can also see some columns forming here as well. This is meant to be. This is a karmic conclusion of a cycle. I do feel we've seen some of the GOP turning now and being more amenable to what the Democrats are doing. I think you're going to find a lot more. Some have even suggested it will be about time the GOP go to the White House and suggest Trump resigns. I don't think we're there yet. But I do feel we're getting there. Now, Ambassador Sondland also testified that he spoke to Senator Ron Johnson about his concerns around the Ukraine and the bribery and the alleged bribery that Trump was, allegedly committing. All of that fell on deep ears. So I just want to pause here because we often say the truth has a way of working itself out, and indeed it does. Unfortunately, there's a bit of pain to be experienced while it does. But this is what is happening now is almost a replica of what happened in 2016, only that time it was with Russia. And the GOP will be drawn into this as well, indeed, as Senator Ron Johnson appears to be now. Okay, so this is a serious situation for Trump. We've got the King of Coins, or is this the Knight of Coins? Forgive me, this is a new deck. Looks like this is the Knight of Coins. And this is Sondland. Remember, as he came up, that's in the past position. He was once aligned with Trump. He was once doing Trump's business. And remember what it took to get him to tell the truth. The threat of perjury is what it took. And potentially, look what happens when to somebody who lies to Congress. Cohen is in jail for that. It took a lot for him to actually out. He completely and utterly flipped on Trump. Now we have the King of Cups energy coming through, and I absolutely love this. This is this energy that is moving forward now, that voters, I think, and it's not just in US but elsewhere, are starting to look toward this kind of energy, this King of Cups energy. It's in the future. So I can see that from these cards, there is a story that they are telling around what has gone on in the past, around what is happening now, around those that have aided and abetted Trump. Remember, this Knight of Coins came up for Sondland in the last reading and it was flipped. That's in the past. Trump will struggle for allies now. And we've got this beautiful King of Cups energy coming through. Now, what does it mean for Trump? This healing energy, I should say, as well. We've got the Four of Cups, and this is disappointment for him. But don't get don't get complacent too soon, because there is still a cup here for Donald Trump. And it could be that it's going to take a little bit more, as I suggested, for the GOP to make that trip to the White House to suggest he resigns. We've got the Temperance card, the December card, and this is again showing next month as being quite critical. And I will incorporate the Supreme Court and Trump's taxes in this reading as well, because I think, as you know, it's all connected. You're having a rebalancing. We are having a rebalancing. And I want to also remind you that what happens in the collective is a reflection of the choices we make at the individual level, and that is just a basic tenet of the way that democracy and equality works. If enough of us want something, then we fight for it, and so it comes to pass. Well, it should, in a democracy, come to pass, because we've got this judgment, this inevitable ending. So those two cards are telling me, the Temperance card, which is a Sagittarian energy, December, and Judgment. Double tens here with Judgment as well. Double tens. This is quite a strong, powerful ending. Remember, we've got tens, a lot of tens here on the grounds, and sixes, healing numbers. And we've also got fours as well, which are rebuilding or building foundations. And in this case, I think it is rebuilding and building foundations. And we've got the seven of coins in the hopes and fears position. This is reassessment, review. If something is not not working, then you go back to the drawing board to see where you're going wrong. This is in the hopes and this is in the fears, but I do feel it's also a 7, which is the number of learning lessons, notches on the belt, having to learn the lesson in order not to repeat it. I do feel this is speaking to the collective, given that I was speaking about the collective before I drew that. In the hopes and fears, it is the hope, now a fairly critical forming, think the star card in the tarot, beginning of the formation of intent. We don't want to repeat this. We do not want to repeat this. That is the hope. What are we going to do to stop this happening again? And here's my beautiful star card. It's hard not to get moved by these tarot cards. This is the star card, the Star of Hope. And there is this review with this hermit. The details are now being examined by us, the collective, via this impeachment inquiry. And this is also another 10 and a 1, a completion and a beginning. And this, of course, is also the card of isolation, which I see occurring for Trump in real time and also in the future. And then we've got these beautiful, beautiful world card, Major Arcana, the last in the Major Arcana, double tens and a 1, endings and beginnings. Gosh, beautiful. I'm just going to stop there because these are really, really powerful cards. What's going on now? And all of at the beginning of this Celtic cross, it is a Celtic cross layout. I tweak it a little bit, but basically it's a Celtic cross layout. The beginning of the Celtic cross talks about what is happening to Trump now. The love is waning. What is occurring, and then it moves into the collective and the rebuilding. What is happening now is a rebalancing and an ending, an inevitability of an ending. And these beautiful, beautiful outcome cards, we've got the Star of Hope, which was present from the beginning of certainly my readings as a fundamental card. And the way that we review and set our intentions will guide us in the future. And there will be review of this. There will be this intent. How can we prevent this happening again? We've got so many completions and new beginnings in this reading. Let's have a look at what's going on at the base of the pack. we've got the Seven of Cups. This is in real time. Someone asked me, why do I pull a few cards at the end of the reading from the base of the pack? It's almost like we get the big picture here. Well, we get a lot of detail and we get the big picture in the Celtic cross. But for me, the bottom of the pack reflects what is actually happening right now. So it's another added dimension. We've got the Seven of Cups, and it's almost like we're coming out of a dementia, I was going to say, coming out of our befuddlement, coming out of our fog. We had to make choices. We had to get out of that fog in order to be able to see clearly. But it was very difficult to do that when you had the master trickster himself. And conditions of the time aided and abetted the naked grasp for power by the GOP, aiding and abetting someone as I was just going to say dreadful as Donald Trump. That was I think my grandmother's word for, that translated into a swear word for her. Damn, she used to say, dreadfully, damn dreadful. Okay, so this is the Seven of Cups. Interestingly enough, lessons. Again with the number 7, lessons for us. How did we get here? How did we get so befuddled? How did this happen? So there's a lot of review. As the truth comes out, there's euphoria that, it looks at this stage like a win for those that want this dreadful man out of office. However, there's also an element of review as well, because we've got the Page of Coins, and this is suggesting that there has to be a good look. There is a message here for all of us. And it is, it is around the money aspect in politics. Are we to repeat the same mistakes again? And we've got the Two of Coins, juggling, putting the money down, making decisions around what we want in the future and how we want our politics to look. It's always difficult though when you have another 7. These 7 of Swords, the thief, the betrayer, there's always going to be that. And so if there are lessons, and I know I'm kind of reading bit retrospectively now, and certainly at the bigger picture level, if there are lessons to be learned, it is in this 7 of Swords card. How did we get here? How did these strategies, how were they enabled? So, that 7 of Swords is a pretty important card. Again, another card that kept coming up through the reading. And, of course, we've got the money aspect here with the 6 of Coins. It kind of leads me quite nicely into, I guess, SCOTUS. I've got a couple of the Supreme Court. I've got a couple of more questions as well. I don't know if I'll do them in this reading because I want to keep it focused. But I also, in my research, I also came across the FBI apparently is wanting, and I think this was on MSNBC, or it could have been on NBC. The FBI apparently is wanting to open an investigation, or not open an investigation, but wants to question the whistleblower. And the reason they want to do that is to determine why the Department of Justice shut down a criminal when there was a criminal referral by the Inspector General, why the department shut that down. Now, when you have FBI starting to go into the hallowed halls of the Department of Justice, whom I think don't they oversight the FBI, the intelligence agencies, or they come under their purview in some way, the FBI wanting to question the whistleblower in order to determine to explore why William Barr's department shut down a criminal referral, or a criminal referral by the Inspector General of the National Security agencies. So that's pretty serious there in itself. Also, Sondland testified that he actually did let Pence know that what was happening with Ukraine. Pence has denied that. It would be interesting to see if he's going to be caught up in it. But I'm going to go to the Supreme Court. Now, I've always seen the Trump's tax returns making it to the Supreme Court. Now, they've put a stay on that subpoena, so they've paused the process at the moment. That can't read anything into that. It is while they decide, will they take it on? So I've seen it coming to the Supreme Court, but I've not seen it getting anywhere. And if it did, now I'm not sure what that means, whether or not they'll say, no, we uphold the Court of Appeals decisions, the federal court's decisions, or whether, and they hand it back and the taxes are obtained. I've always seen the taxes being obtained, or whether the Supreme Court will hear the matter, and if they do, it will be heard fairly quickly. So let's have a look. Will the Supreme Court uphold the Court of Appeals decision that Trump must hand over his taxes? Will the Supreme Court uphold the Court of Appeals decision and various other jurisdictions that Trump must release his tax returns? Will the Supreme Court back the Court of Appeals on Trump's tax returns? Okay, so we've got the Star of Hope as the signifier card. I'm drawn to the balance here. It's going to be very important for the Supreme Court, given Trump's two handpicks on the Supreme Court. It's going to be very, very important for the Supreme Court to appear balanced, not to appear, to be balanced, to retain the faith and the hope in the law of the land. So it's pretty important. Challenged by the American voters. Okay, so that's interesting because justice will work both ways. They have to be just to Donald Trump, but they also have to be just to the American voters. So they have to rise right above all this. The question is, will they take on the case? We've got the 9 of coins. Independence, again, they have to be totally and utterly independent. This is also Trump as well as a private citizen, so there are a lot of aspects to this. We've got the High Priestess in the past. Again, Trump trying to hide his secrets, basically. What's in the future here? We've got the Magician actualizing something into reality. That could go... let me just drill down on this a little bit. I can get some clarifiers on that Magician, because that Magician could be the court deciding that they will uphold, because that was the question I asked. That could be the decision that they will uphold the appeals court's decision to hand the taxes over. We've got the King of Swords in the immediate future. We've got an investigation here. I think that's an investigation that at the New York level as well. We've got the Ace of Cups. Again, I think that's a yes. It's new starts. But the environment around that is abuse of power. So that's what they're looking when I'm not saying the Supreme Court is going to abuse their power. They are looking at whether or not there has been a potential abuse of power. Okay, right. Or a breaking of the law. The hopes and the fears, we've got Trump's downfall. And in the final outcome, we've got this past card, a healing card, and we've got the world card, endings and new beginnings, and we've got restriction. So I'm just going to quickly draw something on. To me, I think they might uphold. They might uphold the appeals court's decision. Let's have a look at this, because the Magician is also my card for the dirty tricksters, the Republicans. As we know, there's two hand-picked justices, Supreme Court justices now on your Supreme Court. My feeling from these three outcome cards is that they're going to uphold the Court of Appeals. So let's have a look. Can I have some clarification on the Magician card? Is this the Supreme Court potentially upholding the decision of the Court of Appeals to release those taxes? Can you tell me more about this, Magician? Is this the Supreme Court upholding the Court of Appeals decision? I do feel, balance. Again, balance. And this Temperance card, December. And we've got the Ace of Wands. Okay, so that is another yes. A new starts, a lot of new starts. We've got review, though. Review and investigation. And again, at the bottom of the pack is our Six of Cups, which is the past card. Okay. One of the things with the court, with the Court of Appeals, they said that this applies to Trump as the businessman when he was the businessman, and it shouldn't, because it's his accounting firm. It shouldn't really it shouldn't affect the president, because it is dealing with his business in the past, and It's a subpoena to his accounting firm. Because I'm getting these Six of Cups here, I'm feeling that they might just uphold the decisions of the lower courts and stay above the fray. Six of Cups, that would be a tremendous blow to Donald Trump. Let's get some clarity on this Six of Cups up in the outcome position. Is this the Supreme Court upholding the Court of Appeals decision, and the Federal Court and all the other jurisdictions? Tell me about this Six of Cups. Is this upholding the Court of Appeals decision? Yeah, it is. That's a yes, and things coming forward very, very quickly. What that past card, sorry, I'm a bit slow this morning. What that past card is saying is that it will uphold the decisions of the past. Okay? What decisions were made in the past? The Court of Appeals. Thank you, Spirit. All right, what's happening at the base of the pack? Just a few cards. We've got the Wheel of Fortune, of course. Things are turning now. Things are turning, and they're going to turn very, very quickly. And we've got the Knight of Swords, the Truth. Okay, so, and of course, Donald Trump, potential loss for Donald Trump. Really interesting readings. One more question and then I'll close this down. I'll get to the FBI and Pence at another reading at a later date in the next day or two. Hopefully in the next day. Hopefully I can read again tomorrow. We'll see. There's also a couple of, I want to have a look at Hong Kong and England. Another look at England as well. And the Middle East. The Middle East really worries me, the Middle East. If we can just get rid of this US president and get someone sane in there, stop the insanity, then there's hope that there won't be a major battle, particularly in the Middle East, that we'll all have to get involved in. And we don't want that, because one of the things that Trump has done is that he's backed the US and out of nuclear missile treaties with Russia, and of course backed out of that deal with Iran, and Iran's now amassing those nuclear weapons. And he's siding with Israel on the West Bank. So it's a real tinderbox. Okay, so let's go to his tax return. So if the Supreme Court upholds the Court of Appeals decision, when are we likely? Will we see Trump's tax returns? Will we see, will the Supreme Court now, in upholding that decision, release? Will we see Trump's tax returns? Will we see Trump's? Yep, we're seeing them. We're going to see them. 7 of Cups, signifier card, choices, smoke screens. Challenged by review. The 7 of coins, 2 sevens there. There are real lessons here. And I figure this is for Donald Trump. Okay, there. That's the signifier cards. The basis of this, judgment. A judgment will be handed down. Double 10s, the ending of something. Secrets in the past position. What have we got in the future? The Knight of Cups. Interesting. The Knight of Cups. An offer, a deal that was made with someone else. That's in the future. That Knight of Cups came forward for Trump's basically Trump's political campaign. There is disappointment here. Disappointment. There is one cup left for Donald Trump, but we've got the 4 of Swords. This is somebody being wounded in battle. Once they were, a knight. Now they're not. Okay, and we've got the 9 of Coins. Okay, so this is a blow to Trump's business. It's a blow to his independence, his business. This is the 9 of Coins, is having enough financial resources to meet your needs. That's interesting that came up in this reading, because his tax returns are likely to show how much debt he is in. And we've got Justice here in the hopes and fears position. And we've got the 7 of Swords here. Here is our lesson again, 777. Betrayal, theft, betrayal. The 9 of Cups, this is a wish fulfillment card. We're going to get a look at them. And we've got the 2 of Wands. Now that's interesting. 2 is something that occurs in time. 2 months. I don't even think 2 weeks. I don't even think it's that long. 2, juggling. Juggling. We've got the 5, defending, and we've got the 5, abuse of power. So I think we're going to get a look at his tax returns. When? 2 weeks. I don't think it's 2 months. December, January. Where are we now? Would be in January, round about the mid to late January, but I'm feeling December is a critical month. 2 weeks, 2 months, and what they're going to show us is really that the electorate was conned. It's going to show some significant debt too with Donald Trump. Okay, let me just drill down on that 7 of Swords, strategy, theft and betrayal. Theft and betrayal. Tell me about that. Is this going to be in Donald Trump's tax returns? Okay, and we've got the Knight of Swords, truth. So, truth coming forward and fairly strongly. Yeah, and the 9 of Wands, battle weary. So yes, 4 of Pentacles, trying to hang on to information, trying to close it down. It's not going to be successful. What's at the bottom of the pack? We've got our our Sword of Justice in our Ace of Swords. So the truth is coming out. We've got our lovely Queen of Cups taking the lid off the secrets. And we've got our King of Wands. I think this is the Supreme Court. This is the courts themselves. So here's what I think is going to happen. I think, hopefully I'm right, I think the Supreme Court is going to uphold the decision of the lower courts. They're going to take balance to the voters, balance to the wider electorate, balance to the rule of law, balance to Donald Trump into very careful consideration. I feel that they're going to justify the upholding of those decisions because of this concerning his business affairs, an investigation of breaking the law, which involves the Trump organisation and via his accounting firm. So I think they're going to uphold the Court of Appeals. Now, if it does go to them, they will make. If it does go, and if I'm my nuancing in this reading isn't correct, if it does go to them, they will hand down a decision like that they're going to they agree with the Court of Appeals. So if it does go to the full bench, that's what will occur, and I'll update the reading closer to that on who might cast a deciding vote or how that might go. But the bottom line is those tax returns are going to come forward. There's going to be two really obvious things in them: the amount of debt, and also that Seven of Swords, unfortunately, will indicate some deception. And that deception is likely to tie back to Russia. So eventually. So that's the reading today. Wow. The impeachment inquiry. Huge, absolutely huge implications for everybody. So thank you very much for tuning in today.